Okay. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to present the poem I chose. First of all, the author of this poem is Ezra Pound, and the poem I chose is In the Old Age of the Soul. To show a short biography of this poet, he was born in 1885 and died in 1972. A little about his life is that obviously he's a modernist poet. He published over 70 books which were translated to Japanese play and Chinese poetry. He created a new movement called Imagism. He studied literature and languages, traveled to Europe and published his first volume called Alumni Spento in 1908. An interesting fact about him is that he was arrested for broadcasting fascist propaganda during World War II. He was an optimist. He outlined his hopes for a dream society where art and culture were highly respected too. This is a short biography about him. Of course, he has influences on his work, and one important element that I found about him is that he was influenced by imagery of Chinese and Japanese poetry. He was influenced by T.S. Eliot and Walt Whitman, and the most famous poems about him are The Cantos in a Station of the Metro, A Pact, A River Merchant's Wife, A Letter. Those are the most famous poems about him. Now I'm going to show you the poem, which, as I said before, it is In the Old Age of the Soul by Ezra Pound, and I am going to read it. I do not choose to dream, there cometh on me some strange old lust for deeds, as to the nerveless hand of some old warrior, the sword hilt or the war-worn wonted helmet brings momentary life and long-fled cunning. So to my soul grown old with many a justing, many a foray, grown old with many a hither coming and hence going, till now they send him dreams and no more deed. So doth he flame again with might for action, forgetful of the counsel of the elders, forgetful that who rules doth no more battle, forgetful that such might no more cleaves to him. So doth he flame again toward valiant doing. This is the poem, okay? Now I'm going to analyze a little bit about this poem. I think that it was very interesting. Okay. So my analysis was that, from my perspective, since it does not specify a character within this poem, I would say that portrays the life of old men as well as old women, more specifically the old souls. First of all, at the beginning of the poem, there is a verse that immediately grabs the reader's attention when it says, the first, I do not choose to dream, there's cometh on me. And the other verse that I think about was some strange old lust for deed, which is here. Some strange old lust for deeds. The two first verses invite the reader to seek for an explanation concerning that strange old lust, and also it invites the reader to reflect on the past and how much time has passed without forgetting about it. Furthermore, it represents the old men and women as heroic warriors who has been through many battles, and of course the huge process of from my perspective, metaphorical war that concerns the cycle of life, as this image. I have another verses. As to the nerveless hand of some old warrior, the sword hilt that war-worn wanted helmet brings momentary life and long-fled cunning. Well, in these verses, I could infer that there was once a young soul who wore a helmet to fight this battle against age and, growing. Nevertheless, the wave of life hits strongly as it moves. The poem mentioned that life is not forever, but momentary in this part. Ephemeral. That is when the verse, so to my soul grown old, grown old with many adjusting, many a foray, grown old with many a hither coming and hence going, till now they send him dreams and no more deed. Appealing, I think that these verses appeal that this young soul has grown up without coming back to what it was. There's not a way back to what he was or what she was. Okay, after these verses, the one who make, from my perspective, the one who make the turning point of this poem is, so doth he flame again with might for action. Why I consider this verse as the turning point? Because it reminds me of a person or soul, in this case, who tries to battle against the war of age. As I said before, kind of the metaphorical war of age against age. It is a soul that wants to deal with age by chasing the dreams that once the soul had when was younger. Okay, so analyzing the following verses, I chose these 3 ones. Forgetful of the counsel of the elders, forgetful that who rules doth no more battle, forgetful that such might no more cleaves to him. Okay, so from my standpoint, these verses entails that the old souls, as it is mentioned in this poem, this old soul is going to achieve what it wants regardless of what the other people say, what society say about age, regardless of the physical or mental or emotional barriers that concerns the age. That is why, from my perspective, it says that it is in a war against age. And finally, with the final verse, from my point of view, it makes the poem an extraordinary part of literature. The final verse is, so doth he flame again toward valiant doing. Most of the poem was focused on saying that all souls were no longer capable of doing or achieving their goals or dreams because of the limitations regarding age. However, in the final verse, I could infer that it says, that this soul is going toward valiant doing, saying that even though the age can limit somewhat the way in which old people do their things, there is still a young soul waiting for being released inside this old soul. Okay, so now I am going to show you or to tell about the kind of the physical components of this poem, literary devices, the tone, the theme, etc. Even though I couldn't find so much information about this poem, I found some literary devices that belong to this poem. Okay, so the first one is alliteration, that is wanted, that is in this verse. Where is it? Okay, the sword hilt or the war-worn wanted. W is repeated in this word, in this poem. Sorry. Another literary device that I found is repetition. Grown old with, forgetful, so doth he flame again. And this is repeated in this part. Grown old, forgetful, and again forgetful, so doth he flame again, so doth he flame again. Okay, and the other literary device that I found is imagery. Justin and Foray that appear in these verses. Grown old with many a Justin, many a Foray, that it gives us like a mental image of an scene. Justin means the primary aim of Justin was to replicate a clash of heavy cavalry, with each participant trying hard to strike the opponent while riding towards him at high speed. For example, commonly it was in a horse, breaking the lance on the opponent's shield, or Justin armor if possible, or unhorsing him. That was the meaning of Justin that I found. And the other imagery component that I found in this poem is foray, which means that it is a sudden attack or incursion into enemy, especially to obtain something. This is like supposedly the imagery that entails this poem, the Justin and foray. Okay. So now I am in the final comments. Okay, so the relation between these, in the final comments I'm going to make kind of a short relationship between the theme and modernism. The relation between this poem and the cultural wave of modernism is related to the cycle of life. One of the components that deals with modernism is that represents modernity in a new era. So, in a way, modernity has to, in order to emerge, get rid of the past. Kind of a cycle of life. That's how cycle of life works. In relation to the poem, the age and the cycle of growing of the soul, the growing cycle of life, basically, was one of the main themes of this reading, as I said before. Also, another component of modernism is rejuvenation. Another element seen at the end of this poem, as I was analyzing it, is that so doth he flame again toward Valentine, is that in a way he came from once he or she was. As I said before, another element seen at the end of this poem, that even though there are many barriers, as I said, physically, emotionally, or even psychologically, the old soul still wants inside this soul, still wants to be the young soul that once was. This soul in a way wants to rejuvenate for living again the life that once this soul lived before he or she grown up. So that is my video. That's my complete analysis of this poem. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.